I'm calling the regular state planning and project meeting for Thursday, December 22nd, 2022 to order at 6:01. Let's begin with the pledge to the flag. Ready? Begin.
Of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Here.
Director Nyman,
Here.
Director Schoenberg, Director Kelling,
Here.
Gibson here, 5. Discussion vote on adjusting the agenda if necessary.
I would like to move that we add an item to the agenda due to the need to take immediate action, and that the need for action came to the attention of the local agency subsequent to the agenda being posted. The item to be added is closed session pursuant Government Code 554957, conference with legal counsel and anticipated litigation, Government Code 954956.9, subset B, semicolon 1 item.
Between 3 and 4.
And we'll put it between 3 and 4. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Garcia,
Aye.
Nyman,
Aye.
Schoenberg,
Aye.
Kelling,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. So I don't understand. So it's going in above
Yes.
4, but after
It's
we have the
another
oral
oral, it's
announcement,
another closed session, so you have to
Okay.
do it the same way, but it's announced differently.
and it's. What am I going to announce? That it's possible litigation? Oh, cool. Okay, can I keep this for a minute?
Yes.
Thank you, my friend. Okay, oral announcement prior to closed session, government.
Wait, 3.
Oh, public comments, items not listed on the agenda.
Any public comment?
Okay. Oral announcement prior to closed session, government code 54957.7. A representative of the legislative body to orally announce the items to be discussed in closed session prior to any closed session meeting. Number 3, closed session pursuant to government code 554957, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, government code 954956.9 B, 1 item. Yes.
That wouldn't actually be 3 because 3 was public
Yeah,
comments.
but it's gonna move down.
Everything's moving. Or we can put like a.
Well, I could have swore something.
Or
Let me say compliment at the same time. Now announce the next,
Okay,
next two.
closed session pursuant to government code 54957. Conference with real property negotiators. Government code 54956.8. Property 255-320-28. Agency negotiators Lisa Schellenberg, Raman Nyman, D. Jasper. Negotiating parties Veronica Alcaraz and Carlos Saucedo. Under negotiation price and terms of payment. Closed session pursuant to government code 54957. Conference with real property negotiators. Government code 54956.8. Property 256070-54 and 256-070-55. Agency negotiators Lisa Schoenberg, Raman Nyman, D. Jasper. Negotiating parties Jeff French, Emily Wainwright. Under negotiation, price and terms of payment. Ad hoc committee report,
No.
no, that's not in the closed session. Okay. So we are going into closed session at 6:06.
And for on the meeting, I think we need to put you in a,
No,
we'll put ourselves in a room. And, but it may be a little while since we have 3 items we need to discuss with our attorney.
give me a minute to set it up.
You know that we're calling.
He's on the meeting.
Who's down the meeting?
See the-
The very first one, I'm not adding D, correct?
Correct.
So it's
Should only be the board and,
Board now.
yes.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Megan,
Okay, we're coming out of closed session at 7:01. There is nothing to report.
Yeah.
Ad hoc
There
committee,
was no action.
no action taken.
time,
Ad hoc committee
No, time.
reports,
No.
project
Time.
committee.
time for
I
coming out.
did say
Oh,
7:01.
7:01.
Sorry,
We didn't hear.
didn't hear you.
Yes, no.
Well, shit, close your mouth for a minute.
Go ahead, Director Dixon.
Ad hoc committee reports, project committee,
Go ahead, Roma.
What are you and Lisa doing with the state?
We had our state update meeting. Basically, we went over both claims for the Lake of the Woods planning, I think claim 24, and we went over claim number 10. There was also on claim 9. We had put in a claim for 216,000 for the driller. And that was put in with claim 9, but we never received claim 1. And claim 1 was $100 and some thousand. The state contacted us and wanted to know where claim 1 was at. And so we had to have them add that to the claim. So we added the $100,000 other $100,000 invoice from the drillers to claim number 9. And so they added that after the fact. So I guess I don't know if we need approval from the board, but basically, that happened, out of our meeting session. And, also, I think that was basically it. Do you have anything else to add, Director Schoenberg?
There was just some stuff explained to us about the water hauling. You didn't say that, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I did not say that.
So the water hauling, we did, let the state know that we were done hauling water. Outside of that meeting, there was also, some amounts that they weren't, able to pay for, but that didn't happen in the state update meeting.
And I think we could talk about that during, isn't that on the agenda? Yeah.
Okay, and but we did in the state update meeting, he just reiterated, that he wanted all the amounts. We gave him all the amounts at that time that we had. Tiffany said she was done, they were done hauling water.
Yeah, he just wanted a bottom line, submitted all at once. You're done. We're no longer hauling water, and so.
And
Oh, also, we went over the budget. Which we'll be going over that to approve that letter, but we had our budget meeting. And we made some changes to the budget.
and that budget's on the agenda.
And that budget's on the agenda.
Okay, accounts payable committee,
We met. We looked over the bills. And we asked everybody to cut the checks.
So what there were just two things that I had, and we I'm sure Director Schoenberg has some questions, but I did make there was a check for D Jasper for $9,828.90. That was for Elm Peg project. And I transferred from our CIR to the revenue operating fund. So I made a transfer for that. Also, the only thing, there was a check from Young and Wooldridge, which I asked, and from updating from Tiffany, because Johnny wasn't around. It said for water service administration and research. And so I was just asking to make sure that it wasn't on part of planning, and it was
Yeah, I wanted to know what that was when I looked at it.
We were asking you again about the Young Woolbridge, the research was.
Yeah, it was in relation to the questions that Johnny asked, so that's their charge for the computer research that they do.
The questions that Johnny asked about.
What was in the invoice? If you look at his invoice regarding,
Right, what questions did Johnny, I didn't know what it was, it doesn't say what it's in relationship to.
he was asking about wasting water, and if we had the ability, if somebody is profusely using water, to install flow restrictors or do any type of proactive measure like that.
Yeah, because none of that came to the board, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it was all news to us too.
Yeah, so Johnny was, the attorney was doing research on that, so that's the bill, and then that's the computer research charge related to it.
to ask him in board meeting. Or if you could make a note to him for that.
Yeah, because we'd like to know if somebody
Yeah.
isn't doing that.
So anyways, that was the accounts payable. We're not to the financial yet. That's it. I think that was it that I had on there for the accounts payable.
Questions?
I have questions for when we get to the financial.
Oh,
okay, so financial committee,
Okay, so we sent a new copy of QuickBooks today. Deborah sent that to.
What happened with the auditor? Because I know you guys
That's what
do.
I'm saying right now.
Okay, all right. I was just, you had a meeting with the auditors. We didn't know what happened in that meeting.
Saying right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we sent a new copy of QuickBooks to the auditor today. So, based on what we talked to the auditor about, we need to make multiple changes, but because we're running out of time on the audit, because the state already has wanted this audit for a while, we did not make all the changes on this current year. 2020, 2021 is the current audit year. We are going to continue to make changes in 2021, 2022, and then in 2022, 2023. Hopefully, by the time we get to 2022, 2023, the year we're in right now, hopefully we'll straighten out as much as we can and move forward in a way that is better for the audits. What we did find out that we did make some changes on is that we cannot, anything that is a grant money needs to go in as income and not, so we were trying to like offset it in this weird way. With an, you know, we have expenses. We were charging stuff as expenses and then offsetting that as income. It doesn't work that way. It just needs to go in as income and it does not offset. So whenever we get a grant, that money comes in as income. It does not have to balance with the expenses because some of those expenses are assets and some of those expenses are actually expenses. So what we did clarify is when is it an asset and when is it an expense? So the expense is the normal O&M, operating and maintenance stuff, like an expense would be our engineer coming to the board, the first board meeting that we always have every month. That's an actual expense, even if it's reimbursed by the state. An expense might be other normal stuff like Tiffany's time, even though we get reimbursed for it, it's payroll. It's an expense. We're not going to remove it from payroll. She's always going to get payroll, but then when money comes in to reimburse her, that goes in as grant income. That does not become an asset. Same thing with board meetings. The board meetings get separated out into ad hocs, and the board meetings, they're a normal expense. We do get reimbursed for some of those, not all of them, some that have to do with the second state meeting. Again, those are not going to necessarily balance out. Those are going to go in as income, but they're not going to be put as some sort of balance against the money that we paid for the ad hoc. So that's basically what we clarified. Deborah, you can help me if there's something I'm missing, or we can talk about it in financials. But so then the other thing that we did, so we made some changes. The biggest amount of changes we made, we got really lost in directors stuff. It was all goofy. So we put all the directors' fees in the correct spots. I have an entire spreadsheet that if anyone wants to look at it, it'll show exactly what we changed, and you can look at that. So we made those changes. Deborah made those changes in QuickBooks. I shared a copy of that rather lengthy, it's like 30 something pages spreadsheet of some of the changes, like some of the changes where we had listed something under, for instance, like that front counter enclosure, we had listed it under expenses, but it's an asset, it's not an expense. So that $3,000 got moved from expenses to asset. So there was some small changes like that. We just literally ran out of time. It was taking so long that there's stuff that's not going to be, it's a mess because we changed bookkeepers multiple times in that fiscal year.
And we've got a great one now.
And we've got a great one now. And we had, it's not that the other ones, you know, I don't want to put blame on that. It was just rapid changes without any way to like pass that information from bookkeeper to bookkeeper. So there were definitely a lot of problems that had to do with consistency, like nothing's consistent. And so I also shared the assets. I have another spreadsheet that's also quite lengthy. We're not, our auditor said that we don't need to make those asset changes in this current fiscal year, but he would drop some stuff off that he could delete if he had time. If he didn't, it'll drop off in this next one, but I did share that with him as well. He did get both of those sheets. He couldn't pull them up as part of as his normal email there, but he was able to pull it up on his own personal email, so he has that information. And I believe he got what Deborah sent. So that's kind of where we're at now. He's going to look at everything, and then he will be giving us some adjusting journal entries. At that point, we need to get together again. Deborah will need to enter his adjusting journal entries for 2020, 2021, and we need to ask questions at that point once we see. He had already adjusted, 9/10 of it that he knew about anyway. So the stuff that's on our stuff is just stuff that there was no way he would know. Because it's weird stuff like the 2 things we caught today that we passed on to him were in our new connection fees. There was an $8,800 new connection fee that wasn't there, and a $7,800 new connection fee that wasn't there. So both of those got entered in RBS. They did not get done in our bookkeeping correctly. So those are now
And
adjusted.
those come in as income, right?
And those are on the income sheet, yeah, and they were not, they were listed. Well, some of them were listed correctly in RBS, but never made it to the bookkeeper in the adjusting journal entries, and one of them was not listed correctly and so it didn't go in correctly. It wasn't listed as income.
And these are things you don't see until piece by piece.
What do you mean?
When those come in and they post it in RBS,
So
how is she supposed to know that?
she gets the adjustments, she gets the report from RVS, and then she does what's called adjusting journal entries. So she takes RVS and turns it into something that QuickBooks can handle. She only would know that as she gets it and she does it. So what happened is Deborah had to go back to March 2021 and redo the journal entries for March 2021 because they
That the
were wrong.
bookkeeper would.
They were
Okay,
incorrect.
yeah.
So there is no way she would have known that if we didn't say, hey, we're pretty sure we made money here. How come it's not showing up? So so there's that kind of stuff. So is there anything else? So that's kind of where we're at. It's an unbelievable amount of work. We only got not that far. But we did the stuff that we could, and we'll do more adjustments as we go. And like I said, hopefully what is happening is we have a much better system now. So if you look at some of the adjustments we made, you'll see that there's like what we're doing now is we've broken our assets into multiple, like there's help me, Deborah, subcategories, but they're like sub accounts basically. So like so instead of it just being like so that's the other thing. So what was happening in the past is that our auditor after the fact was fixing all kinds of stuff. So in this audit, he's fixed all kinds of stuff again. Every audit he's been fixing, they have been fixing multiple things as adjusting journal entries, which we shouldn't have all that stuff. And so what's happening is there's these like big lump like USDA grant, 3.4. That's why I was flipping out about the assets, because like under one of our assets, it'll say like 3.4 million. And that's all it says. Doesn't break it into assets.
On those one on the back, I don't think that you can really go back and.
We
break those out.
can't go back, but what we can do from here on
If
in
moving forward, make sure that.
is that he kind of talked to us about how when we do a grant, we can figure out the assets first. So like for this Lake of the Woods consolidation, if we actually get the construction grant, we can say, we're gonna get X amount of assets from this grant. We're gonna get X amount of feet of pipeline.
Right.
We're gonna get a booster, we're gonna get a tank, we're gonna get a well, we're gonna get 2 wells, whatever. And then we come up with those assets first. And then what we do is we allocate amounts that are getting paid out based on the engineering reports. He's been, after the fact, just lumping it all into one thing and depreciating it. We can actually allocate it as long as we figured that stuff out ahead of time, and then we just have to ask Dee to help us to make sure that his engineering reports are clear. Because some of them, when we try to go back, it's not clear enough either. But we can allocate stuff, and then we can do a percentage of the engineering and the attorney fees would also go to each asset. So we were doing that incorrectly. We were putting all the engineering stuff under engineering as an O&M, as an operating and maintenance. It shouldn't be. It's part of the asset. It's part of the money you have to spend in order to get that actual asset.
Which is what we're doing for reclass, but question, I know that we're, for example, we just had an invoice from D for his engineering work for $9,000 for Elm Tank. That is
So-
under, so that's, we have that as to be reclassed.
Right, so what's gonna happen is on the ones that aren't grants that we're getting money for. Or they'll both work the same way, but basically that's a tank, right? So that tank, 100% of the engineering is going to get allocated to that tank.
Right.
Because really all his engineering, other than meetings, but if
Right.
he's charging us for meetings, that goes to O&M. Because that's just normal, our engineer's gonna come talk about multiple
Whatever.
projects in a meeting. So we're not gonna allocate it to a specific asset, so that it's just a whole way that we have to wrap our brains around stuff that we weren't doing at all before. The auditors have been doing it the whole time. They've been doing all this stuff after the fact. That's why our audits are very, very expensive. And they have to go through and look at every single thing in detail from every single engineer's report. And all of the grant stuff and allocate a lump. They just do it as a lump, which isn't helpful to us, but they just do it as a lump and then depreciate it. But they still have to go after the fact and move things from income to what they were moving it to was construction in progress. So we can start putting assets under construction in progress to start out with. And that way it'll already be there and it'll be a little bit easier.
Okay.
So that's it in a nutshell. It's a lot of work.
Okay, financial.
And can you hear me?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The only other thing that I wanted to add, because it will be, you may notice going forward that there will be a bit of a structural change, that right now grant income is appearing in our operating income section. And we're going to be moving that to other income and separating it out because it sort of distorts our working
Income.
budget.
Right.
Right, because right now all the grants come in looking like it's income, and that's why the USDA wouldn't give us funding, because they said we had too much money, because they could see all these grants that were starting to come, or just one grant at that time coming in, and it looked like we had way more income than we actually have, even though it was earmarked for a specific thing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Now we're on number 7, discussion vote.
No, I think there was one more. Is there one more?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought-
You're good.
Discussion vote on accounts payable and financial information.
Okay, that's Deborah.
Okay. So we cut 15 checks out of the revenue operating account for a total of $38,853.31. Our extraordinary disbursements include on page 1, ACWA JPIA insurance, our medical benefits, $8,201.43. There was a disbursement to Badger Daylighting Corp. for $4,202.97. To D Jasper for Elm Tank, $9,828.90. Safety Network Traffic, 2 invoices totaling $3,488.63. Our Edison bill was $7,265.35. And that is the end of the extraordinary disbursements.
Yeah, Director Schoenberg.
Yeah, so I just had a few questions. So one of them was already answered on the research, legal fees. Another question I have is on our license fees and permits for USDA Forest Service. I just want to go through that. We don't have our general manager here this evening, but at the next meeting, I really want to make sure that all of those are correct. Because it seems like we have more fees than I thought we had for more things on Forest Service land than I thought. But I could just be wrong, but I just wanted to double check that at some point, but I don't have any of that information without Johnny being here. And then, so I just kind of want to make a note of that, like, we need to pay it, but just a note for the permits. And then I had a question about the answering service. It looks like it went up again, even though we're doing.
No,
I did.
it was, there was two, they charged us what their normal fee of $10 for Veterans Day, and they charged us $10 for Thanksgiving. So the actual fee is $275 just per month. And then they added $20 on, plus they also charge you that 5%, which.
Yeah, it was
Safety fee.
309, okay.
That was,
Some
yeah,
sort of safety fee.
they do a safety surcharge of like 5%, and that ends up being another $34 or something that they add to the bill, and I don't know why that is. They're in an office, they're on the phone, how could they have a safety surcharge?
I mean, what are you gonna do, wipe down the phone after every phone call? I don't know. We can't figure it out.
Anyhow,
Okay, so I think that was all the questions that I had.
and then the Badger Corp was for a hydro.
Yeah, that I understood.
Yeah, and then of course the safety one was
Really expensive.
was really expensive, but that was, we had to hire a traffic control because we had so many lakes at that time up on Elm, and yeah. So
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion to pay our bills.
I'll make a motion that we pay our bill.
I will second that.
Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
I,
Director Kelling,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. Moving on to unfinished business.
Oh, hold on. Thank you, Deborah. Merry Christmas. We appreciate all your hard work, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thank you. Appreciate being part of the team. Have a good
you,
evening.
Deborah.
Thank you so
Happy
much,
holidays,
Deborah.
everybody. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Number 8, discussion vote update on the Fraser Park Lake of the Woods Consolidation Planning Project. A discussion vote review of the project timeline. That you, Dee?
yeah, Dee, were we able to revise that timeline for the MSR?
I moved that to February of 2023.
Did you make any other changes?
No, I haven't. I do see one where we've got to do a draft source water assessment program report, and that hasn't been done yet. Had that scheduled for November, and I think we're gonna have to move that one to, sometime after the first year, likely. We need to anchor our well sites down before we do that. So, if we are able to put things together with CNC in, say, January, and also with French Wainwright in the sense of coming to some cooperative memorandum, maybe of understanding, or whatever we might do with them. Once we have those well site anchored down, then we can do the,
I think you should put that out till at least February, Dee.
March.
February, because I don't see that they're gonna move that quick on
It's
that.
gonna go beyond that.
okay. I'll move that to February as well.
And then we can revisit it, you know.
Okay,
Okay,
And so when you have that updated, I think what you need to send a copy to Lawrence and to,
Well, we just need a copy again from you that we can then send to whoever, put it in the packet for the state update. But it also needs to go to the board.
I mean, we're approving it
Tiffany.
at this point. We, as the board, everyone's in agreement with what changes he's making.
Yes.
So we just need to send it to Carlos to have for the state update meeting.
okay, what I'll do, I'll make the changes and send it to the district and to you, Carlos.
okay. Can we move on to B, discussion vote on a new project budget adjustment request?
Okay. So. Did you want to go over that letter, Carlos?
I signed in on my phone, so I don't have access to that letter right now.
Okay, I guess I can go through it.
Okay, perfect.
Let me put my glasses on. Okay, so on the current budget, we got approval on the last meeting to make these changes to the budget. So we we increased the staff recovery cost from 5,800 to 6,347.69, and which came out to reduce test well plans. So that, I think that would specs by $547.69. That zeroed out that line item.
Oh, good.
So then we increased the MSR from 13,000 to 20,000 dollars, which that is we have to discuss the MSR, the update on the MSR. And it also includes LAPCO expenses on there. So we reduced the test well drilling by $7,000. And then we increased appraisals, license, access fees from 31,000 to 46,000. And decreased test well drilling by 15,000. So that basically in test well drilling, we reduced it by 23,000 or $22,000, and there's still money left in test well drilling, but
We're done.
we allocated those into there. So anyways,
And so we're not done with that because that money, which Carlos can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where we're putting anything where Dee's working on the early drilling of well 8 is going under that line items.
yes, we're leaving money there, and then we will continue to take money from there when we need to. So I would make a motion that we approve this planning adjustments letter to go to Lawrence and have Becky sign it.
Second that.
Okay, a motion's been made by Director Nyman, seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg, Director Kelling,
Aye.
Gibson, I 5-0-0. C, discussion vote on production well property acquisition. Is there anything else to say?
No.
No, Not correct.
Not at this time.
Okay. Discussion vote update on district sphere of influence map for the annexation. That's tabled.
I can't do it yet.
Okay. Discussion vote on project municipal service review, MSR. Quote draft MSR, data collection, scope of work and LAFCO.
D, yeah, we're here. There's a letter from Stanley Hoffman that we need to go over.
Right, I sent an email out.
It's in our, it's all, the whole board has it. They have that and they also have the there are two parts to it. They have everything that you sent.
Right,
Chief engineer estimate.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
estimate.
yeah.
Go ahead, Dee.
Ravish, sent his estimate in. He increased, from 12. I'm trying to get the email up right now so I could get you the exact numbers. Just give me a second.
13,
So,
575. Yeah. Went up a little, 1,500.
Yeah, so he went up to $13,575.
yeah,
So I guess we just need to make sure that that's in the packet for the state update meeting. So that we can update Lawrence or Lawrence's counterpart who's filling in for him. At the next board meeting.
okay. And we updated ours too as well. And let me.
You're gonna do a motion?
We have a well, before we do that, okay, I'll make a motion that we accept Stanley Hoffman's updated quote. Increasing it from 12,000 to $13,575. And that we approve that quote and take it to the state update meeting.
I'll check that.
Okay, motion's been made by Director Nyman, seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg, Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. Okay, we move on to F.
Okay, now, now you said, now the memorandum we have here is from 2021. You said you updated it,
Yes.
but where's a new memorandum? Are you increasing your costs and stuff? Is that what you're doing, Dee?
Yes. Yes. If you will look at that memorandum or at the email that I sent on December 20th, 2022.
We don't-
Yeah, you have it. It's got his new costs. It's before the Stanley Hoffman page.
Yes,
But that's dated March 30th, 2021.
But-
Right, but then at the back page is, yeah, it still says 2021, dear.
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's the one that we issued in 2021. And then the email basically just says that we implemented a 3% rate increase mid-2022, and we're anticipating another 5% increase in 2023. And so that increases that amount from 16,776 to 18,118. And so I didn't update the memo, the original memo, because the work scope is the same. Our costs are just going through the roof.
Okay,
So
well,
you said it was gonna be 18,000 what?
Well, the email says 18,118 from 16,776.
Okay.
okay. So we're gonna also have to bring that up in the state update meeting.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
So Carlos, so you copied Carlos on that email, Dee?
No, I didn't. I'll do that right now.
Okay, because he needs to have that information. Um. That email needs to be with it, so, I'll make a motion. Since his cost increased to 3%.
3% and 5%.
5%, and make a motion that we go ahead and approve his memorandum from March 31st, 2021, which was originally $16,776. And the new figure is increased to $18,118.
That's correct.
I'll second that one.
Okay, motion's been made by Director Nyman, seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call, directors. Director Garcia. Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500, motion passed. So do we move on to G? Discussion vote on the early drilling of well A.
We didn't do F, but F should be tabled right now. We can't do the. Finish the memorandum of understanding till we have the MSR.
Okay, so G, discussion vote on the early drilling of well A.
And we can't really go forward on that until we have further negotiations with CNC.
Discussion vote on Lake of the Woods projects and consolidation.
That's Lake of the Woods. You're on.
Hey, Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas, Pam.
Nothing new to report. Everyone's on holidays.
Yeah, I see you've been at a lot of football games. Good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion vote on claim 25 and other claims and payouts. Is that you, Carlos?
Yeah, but I think Brahma's gonna have to read it for me again since I'm off my
Okay,
phone.
so, this is, claim 25. And under claim 25, we had, under, management administration, we had, $500 for board meeting costs. We had $105.76 for staff recovery costs. And then we had for our SOI mapping, D Jasper invoice number 22-01119 for $6,429.50, which brings the total amount to $7,035.26. If there isn't any questions on this, I would like to make a motion that we approve claim 25 in the amount that I just said.
I'll second that motion.
Are there any questions? Someone going to second that motion?
He just did.
Oh, cool,
I'm
okay.
listening.
Motion's been made by Director Nyman, seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg. Director Kelly.
Aye.
Gibson, I 500.
Deserve that one.
I'm here for your entertainment. 9, discussion vote update on FPPUD meter replacement project and emergency well supply project. A, discussion vote update on well 7.
Well, I don't have any good news on well 7. I think about the only thing we can do with well 7 is to check the water quality. We're going to pump it at a very, very low flow rate and see if we can get something out of it. But it's, it really is not going to be what we predicted at all. So I'm guessing, probably 100, maybe 100 gallons a minute, probably less. We may want to drop a small submersible in there and pump it at the same time that we are well 5. But it's just not proving out. All the testing that we've done and developing that we've done really hasn't increased the yield much at all. And so really we don't, that's where we are on well 7.
So
Not working
if,
out.
if we're gonna put a smaller pump in there, is the cost gonna be less? As far as what we're gonna spend, Dee?
Yes, on equipping it, yes.
Okay. So that really behooves us to get working on well 8 then. So in the meantime, we'll leave well 5 working until we can get another well in place, correct? Or until it fails.
Well, on 7, same time.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Does the yield from well 7? If we turn well 5 off, does that increase well 7 or no?
It doesn't have any effect at all. Yeah.
I know because, well, we were getting the mud stuff from well 7 into 5, so I didn't know if it was working reverse or not.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. So yeah, there shouldn't be an issue with pumping them both together.
It gives us an excuse to go to the state about well 8.
Yeah.
To get funding. To push for funding, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, B. Sorry, that's okay. Can we move on to B? Discussion vote on awarding the bid for meter replacement.
Okay, well,
No, we need to do that tonight. So it's in your packet. We have not officially awarded the bid. We have all the information.
mhm.
Dee, go ahead and do your recommendation.
Okay, our recommendation is that we award to Bruff. They're willing to sign, and they are significantly low, but we've had several conversations with Jeff Bruff, and in accordance with our plans and specifications, he's willing to take it on, and he's doing a similar project, I think, for you, Pam, and also and down at Lebec as well. So he's going to have crew in the area. Now, the question of whether or not we can get meters and meter boxes in time, that'll be the big issue. Pam, thanks for the heads up on that. And that's getting some of the meters and boxes might be the big hang up. I think more the boxes than the meters, but we have to award first, and then he can order the equipment.
Director Schellenberg?
Do we need to, if we want to do the propagation study, which I'm not sure if the whole board does, but I am interested in doing that for the consideration of the AMI system. Does that need to be as part of this award, or how does that work?
Yes, it can be. It's an add on the bottom as an estimate, and the propagation study won't be that number, but it will be a part of that. And so if we want to go ahead and run the propagation study, then we just award with the provision that we do the propagation study as.
And the possibility of the AMI system if the propagation study pans out, correct? So, I want to make sure that we're including all that, so we don't all of a sudden find out that we can't fund what we would like because we didn't award it in the original award.
Yeah, we would award then.
Can you explain what the propagation study is, Dee?
They determine where they need the towers for communication, because they have to communicate real time with these systems, and so they have to have communication between all the meters and the district office. And so what the propagation study tells us is what kind of a communication network we're going to need for accomplishing that. because it is real time. And so, you can look at these meters and you can read the meter, what the flow rate is. You can read how much water has been used up to that time. It really gives you a lot of flexibility, and it also lets you, it gives you another tool to identify leaks in residences and in the individual services. If somebody's meter is, normally running at about, say, 5 gallons a minute or 4, they're only using so many gallons a day. And then, you can set limits in your program. And then if the meter runs above that,
They'll alarm you, or it'll notify you.
you can red flag it, yeah. And then contact the user and say, hey, you've got
Got a leak or something.
Judge Schoenberg?
So when we did the original bid package, we have enough money with, if we decide to go forward with the AMI, because the propagation study pans out, we have enough money currently to be able to include all that in our current budget, correct?
Yeah, that it should fall within that range. Again, we're not going to know exactly what the costs are going to be until we do the study, but that's a pretty conservative number, so we think we're covered.
One other question, Dee. So when we award this to Brough, you're saying they want to order the meters. Is it going to matter what meters they have to order? As opposed to if we go with the AMI or the other one?
Yeah, if we're heading down that road to the AMI, I'm not sure exactly what the changes would be in the meter itself, but what we've done is included in the cost that possibility.
But you were saying that you wanted to award the bid
Right.
so that he could order equipment, but he can't order equipment until you do the propagation study in order to make sure you get the right equipment.
That's why we have the add of 230,000 at the bottom of that, because that should cover the propagation and the towers.
But Dee, the AMI is just another piece that goes on the meter that we're currently looking at, correct?
Right. In fact, I don't know if the antenna changes or not on the AMI, but we have enough in there to cover.
Well,
But our question is, if we order the meters immediately, are we going to have meters that we can just add a piece like an antenna onto so that it works as part of the AMI? My understanding when we first started doing this was that we were going with a specific meter because it had the possibility to add that other part, which allows the AMI to happen. Is that correct?
I think it's a minor change, but the bid includes that.
yeah, but we need to know that information up front. We can't have Rough ordering a meter and then find out that, this isn't gonna work with this, and then it's gonna cost us a huge change order.
No, it's not that. The costs are covered in the bid, but I don't know whether or not the configuration of the meter of the antenna is the same for the drive-by as it is for the AMI, but the cost is covered.
Okay, so, but what I'm saying is, I want it verified with Brough before he orders meters,
Oh, we're gonna do that, yeah.
because I just don't want us to get into a situation where all of a sudden we've ordered all these meters and then it's a problem and we can't do it, or we can't do the AMI.
Yeah, understood. We're good.
Okay, this is Carlos. I got a quick question. you guys are awarding the bid, but you guys are not actually giving a notice to proceed yet, right?
Once we award the bid, then he will produce all the documentation that he needs to produce for us, all the insurance, all the bonding and all of that. And then once we review all of that and we review his submittals, then we'll issue the notice to proceed.
Yeah, because
Yes, go ahead.
usually, I mean, you still have to do the FBA package and submit it. And then the FBA package is gonna take somewhere between 4 and 6 months to get approved. So I'm just telling you guys that if you guys start ordering stuff, you guys won't get reimbursed until that FBA package is approved and you get the funding.
If we don't have the money to pay for all that.
Do you still have a question, Director Schoenberg?
So what a lot of the systems that are going through this right now, what they're doing is they do award the bid, but they don't actually give the notice to proceed until they're not going to give the notice to proceed until the FBA package gets approved because they don't have the funding to buy stuff or proceed with the construction until they get the funding.
But your meters are 4 to 6 months out.
Funding's 4 to 6 months out.
Yeah, and if we don't issue a notice to proceed, so he can order those, then the prices are gonna go up.
Do you have to put a down payment?
Well, yeah, I'm sure, he's gotta pay some percentage of the order amount before the company, the meter company will start producing.
No,
them.
and you guys can give the notice to proceed, but I'm just letting you know that the state's not going to be able to reimburse anything until that FBA package gets approved.
Right, but
Where's the bridge loan?
the bridge loan hopefully should cover at least a good chunk of that. Correct?
Yeah, I think so, Lisa. I think we
I
need.
mean, that's $500,000 right there.
we
I mean, the
need to
bid
look-
is for 1 million.
5.
Add the.
Yeah, if you're adding that on, but that comes later, but yeah, it's 1.3 million. So with the work they do, so.
It's not all gonna come later. We're gonna have to pay for the propagation study right away.
Yeah, but that's only gonna be $30,000 or $50,000. That's not gonna be $200,000.
And then meters will be an addition.
What would you estimate the propagation study to be, Dee?
I think it's gonna be more like 20,000 to 30.
Okay,
Director Schoenberg?
Okay, I'd like to move that we award the bid to Brough Construction. Including the amount, so there's the amount of 1,307,495. But I would like to include in that bid award the propagation study and the additional monies needed for installing the AMI system. Should the propagation study pan out.
Okay, motion's been made by Director Schoenberg, seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call directors, Director Garcia. Director Nyman.
aye.
Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. Moving on.
Okay, well, we will keep you posted. We'll issue the award.
Yeah, and I think before you actually give the notice to proceed, Dee, we need a little bit more information of what we're looking at money wise. To see if we're able to cover it by the bridge loan and other funds until we can get the funding agreement.
Right, yeah, and we'll coordinate with you, Carlos, and the state to get a little bit better idea about the timing on this. So that, we can coordinate the funding with the, with the order or the arrival of the meters
So Carlos, now that we've awarded the bid, does that put in motion the state to start working on the meter replacement? Is that? Or what's
Well,
holding us up from that
well,
process?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's been done because this is Oscar's project, but I know that. Have you guys haven't submitted the final budget approval, have you, for the meter project?
No,
Yeah. So basically, once you guys submit the final budget approval, then the state will start reviewing it, and it'll take 4 to 6 months. It could take less, but it usually takes 4 to 6 months. And once they approve it, they'll issue the funding, and then you guys can get reimbursed for work done.
okay. We'll, again, I think what we need to do is really work very closely with you and the state, Carlos, and the contractor to make sure that
Oscar.
we don't,
Well, it'll be Oscar, but he'll be back so you guys can work with him.
yeah.
So when do you anticipate getting those final numbers be together for them so that they can start reviewing that and get that process going?
Well, we've got the numbers now. So, there's no issue with that. It's
Okay.
just, yeah.
So I think what needs to happen is you need to get with Oscar when he's coming back at the beginning of the year, Carlos?
I'm not exactly sure how long of a vacation he's taking, so I don't think he's taking that long. He might be back, after Christmas. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, you want to try and see if you can get hold of Oscar next week? And so you can get that thing moving?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Because we can't afford to drop the ball on it because we don't have all the extra money to be able to be putting out all this money.
yeah, it won't be a question of dropping the ball. It'll be a question of how high it bounces.
Yeah.
The costs are going up monthly, and so, we've got to talk with this contractor and with Oscar and make sure that we get this thing coordinated properly and that we are able to lock in the prices that we got on the bid. So that, we're not going to end up paying more for the meters than what we had, what was on the bid. So we're gonna have to coordinate this pretty carefully, I think. So yeah, we'll be in contact with Oscar and also, of course, we're going to keep you guys apprised as well as we go through this process.
Okay, moving on to C, discussion vote update on the meter replacement.
That's what we just did.
Cool. Discussion vote on the bridge loan for meter replacement.
Where's that?
Do we have any information on that, Carlos?
I'm not sure about that either.
No, we haven't heard anything from Oscar and Justin.
Okay, so that's something that needs to be get on because once we go to notice to proceed, if we don't have a bridge loan, we're in trouble. And we've done and as far as I know, we've done all our part. We've signed the commitment letter and everything they asked for.
Nobody knows when that's gonna be.
Well, they said it would take a few weeks to review and get the final documentation, but Oscar, I'm sure will check up when he comes back from vacation.
Nobody knows when that's gonna be.
Well, I mean, holidays, chances are after the holidays.
Okay.
Okay, discussion vote on claim 10 and other claims and payouts.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go over it. So we had under claim 10, under, planning and design, we had, an invoice, from, D Jasper and Associates for well 7 inspection casing work. Invoice number 22-01121. Yeah, and that's under construction management, that's $17,223.51. And then we, under the meter replacement, which is under planning and design. That has to do with bid form, the bid and bid correspondence. It's invoice 22-01122 in the amount of $1,723.05, which brings the total claim to $18,946.56.
The Ken Schmidt amount in there as well.
Okay, under the $17,223.51. There was a invoice in that for Ken Schmidt of $341.10.
Where did claim 1 go in at?
On claim 1, no, that's, that was on claim 9. So I would make a motion that we approve claim 10 in the amounts that I stated.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, a motion's been made by Director Norman, seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelling,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. Number 10, discussion vote on the pipeline replacement project. A, discussion vote on potholing and mapping.
That's you, D.
Well, we're just about done. I keep pushing this off because it's taking a while to get this doggone thing, all these plotted, but we're plotting all the potholing. We're moving ahead as quickly as we can. And what we're doing now is filling in some of the gaps that we had, some of the information that Johnny needs up in the summit area to give him a little bit more information as to where some of these valves are and some of the pipes are. Our plan is to get these done and to then talk to the state about phasing this project and doing the design up on Summit and Elm North End, some of those pipelines where we have that high risk. And so as soon as we're done with plotting these, we're going to start and we'll actually then we'll have to notify self-help that we're moving into a design phase. I think that's how we do that, Oscar. And start moving into design on some of these branches that you know have been subject to so many failures and are flooding, you know, houses and yards up there on the hill.
Okay. Oh, Director Schoenberg?
Thank you. Is there any way, and I know I asked this before in terms of replacing sections of pipe, is there a way to just cut in some additional valves in the meantime while we're waiting on this stuff? Because we keep having leaks and they keep not being able to turn off the water. We just had another leak on Summit, which, you know, I started getting phone calls of, oh, there's water running down past my house on Los Padres. So is there some way to do a little bit of, or is that just going to cause even more? I mean, I know it's gonna cause issues because it changes as soon as you start messing with anything. there's problems, but I'm just wondering, I know we can't afford to actually replace any, we had talked last time about just small lengths of pipe, but is there something where we can cut in a very small length and some valves to
Yeah.
try to alleviate some of it, so we can at least turn off the water a little bit more quickly when there's an issue?
Yes, in fact, Matt's been working with Johnny in trying to identify some of these locations that we have pothole where we can put valves in. So we're actually mapping a little bit of that and sending him the mapping for that so that he can determine, what the pipeline size is, where it is, and what the valve size would have to be to cut into those lines.
Okay, so that is something we can move forward on before we get funding.
Yes, yeah, it's,
What kind of cost is that probably to entail, Lee?
well, for us, we're mapping it anyway, and so it's no increase in cost for us. For the district, it would be the cost of the district crew purchasing a valve and, cutting them into the pipelines where they're needed.
In other words, it's hard to put a price tag on
All right.
time and materials. Which time is always very important.
So
Got it.
materials at this point.
I got it.
Okay, moving on to the discussion vote on the project budget.
We're within budget. We have some budget left and we're planning on using that. I think as I mentioned before, might have mentioned before, as we map each one of these trails, we're going to do a little bit of extra potholing mid-length to determine, we have the information on the ends and we want to see if indeed in the middle that information is, the pipelines are pretty much in the same relationship to each other as they were at the ends.
Director Schoenberg?
And really, 10B, I think, is more specifically talking about the budget for the full application. So, yes, we're in budget for what we're receiving from self-help enterprises, but we also are nowhere near yet coming up until after D does his design, which is also separately allocated from self-help enterprises, but that's not the full project budget. That's only the potholing mapping / design.
So we can put in the application.
So we can put in an application, yes,
get
so
their
10B,
8 million.
right, so 10B is really more talking about the full project budget, which we're not there, nor are we at 10C, nor are we at 10D.
So I guess the question, how long, so once you do the mapping, how long is it gonna take for you to get a plan and design together? When do you anticipate having that ready?
I would take a couple of months from now.
Okay, so we're looking probably like February before we can put in the application to get funding to go forward.
Oh, yeah, probably around March.
Okay, the sooner the better, because I mean, as we've talked about, this is a continuing problem with these ones that we're doing right now, so.
But it will help if we can cut in some valves, and his work will at least allow us to do that, so.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, and so we're tabling C and D?
well, we just,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't really go forward on it until we have his design.
Number 11, discussion vote on the urgent drinking water needs funding. Who has information on that? Tiffany.
So I submitted the to Mark Machado, the State Water Resources. He did send an email back saying they won't cover the cost of the hotel room that we were paying for 2 of the water haulers. I think it came out to about $1,400. So we actually removed that from the budget. And he was able to then transfer it on to his management. So they're now processing that application. But it's about $196,000 is what we applied.
Okay.
Okay, and this is where I will say good night.
What's that, Oscar?
No.
No, this is Carlos. This is where I'm gonna say good night and happy holidays to everybody.
Okay, God bless you.
Happy holidays.
Same to you, bye.
Feliz Navidad.
Thank you.
Felicidad.
Gracias, gracias.
Okay,
Yes.
I just have a quick question, because I talked to Tiffany. So they are going to cover any of the hosing and the other stuff that had to do with.
Yeah, so far they haven't kicked anything else back or had
Okay,
any
just
questions.
those.
Have to wait and see if they have any more questions on their classes.
Okay, thank you.
Porta potty and all of that.
That's all on there.
And how long will that take?
I don't know.
Oh,
Discussion vote update on Cal OES Community Power Resiliency Allocation to Special Districts Grant A. Discussion vote update on purchasing of the generators. D.
So- Actually, I have something from Johnny on that. We got a delivery of one of the generators. We couldn't get it off the truck. We tried to get
Forklift.
Forklift?
We got a
Crane.
local.
Yeah, we tried to get a local lift from Ace. It wasn't big enough. Because of the weight of because I guess with the fuel in the generator, it weighs more than what we additionally anticipated. And so when Johnny talked to them, he asked that they bring that everything stay at the
CTO.
at the rental place that we're getting this from, and that they try to deliver multiple generators at the same time on the truck. And at that point, we will rent a larger forklift to be able to get stuff off of the truck. Is that correct, Dee?
Oh, well, I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard that they were delivering them wet.
I don't know. Whenever they did, it was heavier than what we thought
Wow.
on the bill of sale.
Bill of sale, it was like 9,000 pounds, D.
Oh, my
And-
goodness. None of them.
And our forklift that we were gonna get had a max of 6,000 pounds, so we were
That-
not able to receive delivery of it. So Johnny had them put that one over at PTS, and he's asked them to stage like until we get like a couple more in, and then we can rent, like Lisa said, then we can rent. We'll have to rent one that can take that weight to take them off the truck.
My goodness. Yeah. I don't think we anticipated them being that heavy.
How
9,000.
are we gonna get them to the sites?
Well, we'll have to figure that one out. But, we'll get them there.
Johnny talked about the rental of the forklift was like a month rental or something like that, so we'd be able to hopefully move stuff around, but I think he was still checking on that, but we can't even do that till we know that they're all coming.
So I think
At one
what's gonna
time.
happen is that when we have to take delivery, we're gonna put them in the yard, and then we're gonna have to rent the forklift again when we get all the sites built. And then do it all at once.
Are you saying you have to rent it for a month?
I don't know, that's what he was.
Well,
saying,
he was
something about
saying
a
the
month,
reason
yeah.
why is it cheaper because if you have to use it more than once. What would happen
have it
is you
delivered.
have it delivered, it'd be the delivery cost. Plus the rental, then it'd be per day, and then you'd have to pay for them to come and pick it up. And then
You
you
got
have,
mobilization, demobilization
Right.
on our projects.
yeah,
Okay, so what happens on a rental is you get 3 days, you get it 4 days or 5 days, you get it for a week.
Mhm.
So on the month rate, if you rent it for 2.5 or 3 weeks, you get it for the whole month. It's just the way it stacks up. Plus, they only have one delivery and one
pickup.
Yeah, but the sites won't be ready.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Depends on when.
So we might have to
stage
pay,
all this. and
we may
schedule
have
it.
to pay twice. We may-
Or we may have to have the sites ready
Or have,
on deliver.
or, yeah. So,
One or t'other.
So we need to obviously still discuss this at the next meeting, but we can't move forward at all right now.
but we need to have Johnny here so we can. have-
Yes.
13.
Dee, do you have any of the sites that are ready?
No, no sites are ready. In fact, my understanding was that we were going to do just what you discussed. We were gonna offload these, store them at the district, off at the headquarters. I think Johnny even mentioned at the last meeting, we asked if there was room enough to store them on, at the district, and he said yes. And so, the plan would be to get them all offloaded and store them and then develop the sites one at a time and get them all developed and then rent whatever equipment that we need to get them in place. Just like you said.
So like I'm saying is we're gonna probably end up having to rent at least twice.
Oh, yeah.
Getting PTS to hold them at their site. Until we can bring them in. Because otherwise it's gonna cost us an exorbitant amount of money.
We'll do the best when we get here. We can't really plan around it now because we don't have the generators. We don't have the sites ready, so.
Now, do we have any update as to when the other generator is coming? We only got one generator.
What I have on the dates right now is that the Elm generator, I think that's the one that we were talking about, was delivered. And then we've got the well 6 generator should be shipping this week, actually tomorrow. And so we'll see how that goes with the blizzard and everything else that's going on. And then the one for the Wolf tank,
In other words,
there's a part or a component that is missing on that generator, and they're thinking that one, which is the same size as the one for well 6, will ship sometime in January because of that. And then the one for well 5 should be shipped at the end of the month, this month. And the one for the Harrison booster should ship mid-January. So that's the latest schedule that we have. That was as of the 15th December.
Okay.
Give the money back, is that correct?
We just have to pay everything out.
Yeah, we just spend the money.
But I want the majority of them before we give up all the money. I mean, otherwise we could be in trouble.
Well,
Yeah.
it looks like I think, Tiffany, we need to have that paid out by February,
End of February.
end of February. So it looks like everything's going to arrive no later than the end of January and probably mid-January. Right now, the schedule shows the latest shipment being January 13th.
Okay, so can you put that on your list at the beginning of the year to follow up on updated delivery schedules, because I don't trust them because they have not been trustworthy. And I don't want to get in a situation where all of a sudden it's, oh, well, it's not going to be until February or March.
Point well taken, Director.
That's number one on my New Year's resolution.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, Dee.
Cool.
13.
Okay, and B is tabled, discussion vote on
Yeah.
engineering and design.
Yes,
13, discussion vote update on district water tank replacement.
Out to bid, and I think they're due the 13th of January. I haven't looked at that date recently, but I believe that's the date I recall. So we should get bids in and we'll know where we're sitting on the costs on that mid-month.
Okay, so we won't have it at the next meeting.
Correct.
A discussion vote on possible redistricting by Kern County.
We have no
Yeah.
additional information at this point.
No. Discussion vote on residents' potential water bottling business.
No,
As far as we know, Johnny actually went down to talk to them to see if a permit was actually pulled or anything. Nobody knows of anything at this point. What they were saying in the county is that there's a sign that has to go up if someone's actually going to do something like that. They actually have to like post a sign on the road or something like that. That hasn't occurred. So they looked, they didn't see anything. They felt like there isn't anything currently pending and that we just need to keep an eye on it. And I believe that they know to let us know if they get anything, but it's something we probably need to just keep checking.
Keep asking.
Okay, looks like we're done with you, Dean. If Dee, if you wanna leave.
Merry Christmas, Dee.
Merry
Thank
Christmas,
Thank
Jane.
you, Dee.
Thank you. Same to you guys.
Good
Hopefully
Any blessings to your family.
will
Yes.
do, and hopefully you don't get snowed in over this. It looks like we're gonna get some weather here pretty quick.
When?
Oh, we are.
Next week,
Yeah,
but it'll be after Christmas.
yes, yeah, that's one good
Had
thing
been
about it.
rain.
Maybe-
The high up here is gonna be like 62 or something.
What's your low?
It's like in the 40s.
Well, that's not too bad.
No,
Right now, it's.
Next Tuesday looks like it's coming.
Yeah,
it was 38 degrees this morning at the park. I know every day.
We keep going.
You're a
My
little
thoughts-
higher. That's why.
Can I suggest table 16 and 17, because that's really, we need.
I told Johnny that I would just bring it up so that people knew.
Well,
what
we
the-
can just have a brief
Yeah, but
discussion.
we wouldn't.
good night.
Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas.
16, discussion vote on paid time off, PTO accrual rates.
Right, so there was some confusion on this, and my understanding is that. And we need to look into it some more, but my understanding was that we were looking at a difference between the 4 days and the 5 days, but 4 days at 10 hours should equal 5 days at 8 hours, so they should be exactly the same. The issue is if you don't work the full amount of days, and the other issue is that we were giving a 5-day week, so actually employees to date, since we've been doing the 4 days, theoretically have been getting an extra 10-hour day each time, because it should only be 4 days that you would get off and not 5 days, because if you work in a 4-day week, you should only get a 4-day.
Should be hours.
Week off.
Should be hours.
40 is 40, a week is 40 hours.
But we didn't do it in hours, I don't think in the handbooks. We need to look at the handbooks, not. Once again,
We went through this.
accurate enough. Did we go through
We
it?
went through this and
Read it
Johnny,
line by line, all the way through.
Johnny wanted it not to be on an hour. He wanted it to be on a daily basis.
Which we have to, like I'm saying, we have.
But that.
So we'll revisit it.
Yeah, so that's, the issue is that right now, we actually, I believe if you're taking 5 days off. And you take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the following Monday, you're actually getting an extra day.
10 hours.
Well, 8 hours. But if you're getting paid, so if you were taking the days, physically taking the days and not getting paid out, you're getting an extra day right now, I think. If you're physically getting paid out, it depends on if we're paying the 40 hours or if we're paying, so I think right now we're paying the 40 hours, but there was a question because if you were taking the days, you're actually getting an extra day.
Right,
So,
you're-
Yeah, I don't think it's right.
yeah, but so it's a little goofy right now. But I don't believe it's a higher accrual rate. It's just 40 hours equals 40 hours, but it's totally unclear in. And,
So we need Johnny here to discuss it, right?
yeah,
And did
And
you
then
say something about 17?
yeah, and then 17, Johnny was trying to, okay, so you know how he cashes out generally, or anyone cashing out. But particularly Johnny was trying for transparency to cash out separately so that we could see exactly how much money we're talking about when he does the cash out. Because right now, when an employee, a regular employee that's an hourly employee cashes out, Johnny's able to, you know, check all their stuff. When Johnny cashes out, theoretically, there's nobody above him,
Yeah, check
it's the
it out.
board. And so what he was doing is trying to be transparent. He was saying that he would be willing to pay the
Hours of the
but
secretary.
you can't do that because it's not, payroll is not like payroll's payroll.
We can't ask them
We
to
don't
pay.
ask somebody to
No.
pay payroll. So, so he shouldn't be paying that. So,
expense that.
so it's just that, yeah, it's just that we would have an extra expense. And then the only other thing Johnny was talking about, and we can talk about that when he's here, is having maybe Tiffany or some way of having another person look at it, so we didn't feel like there was a transparency issue or something, but that we can talk about when he's here.
Okay, number 18.
18, discussion vote redress the Christmas party budget.
What does that mean?
Okay,
Go ahead,
Does anybody know what it's about?
yeah,
I believe that was, he originally paid 200,
we authorized.
but we authorized him,
Him to spend up to $200.
Okay,
right?
And it went up to 250. The food that we got, he
He had to spend an extra
$50.
But there was a, do you remember it all?
When you went to purchase the food, they had said like 225, but then there was a miscommunication and they actually prepared or ordered more food.
The ordered, yeah.
Yeah,
So it ended up being $250,
right.
because he's like, yeah, that's fine, just go with it.
So just.
I'd like to move that we not have Johnny pay, that we pay the Christmas party budget, it's done.
I
it's
second
over.
that.
Okay, motion's been made by Director Schoenberg, seconded by Director Nyman. Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
I,
Gibson, I 500. Review and approve meeting minutes for 12/15/22 state update meeting. Director Schoenberg,
I'd like to move that we approve the meeting minutes for 12/15/2022, the state update meeting. With any of the amendments that were sent to Tiffany previous to, or that are gonna be sent after this meeting, if there's something we didn't catch. As well as any additional amendments for typos or other areas, errors that we also may not have caught and that may need to be corrected.
I'll second that.
okay, motion's been made by Director Schoenberg, seconded by Director Kelly. Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
aye.
Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye,
Gibson, I 500, motion passed. Discussion vote on future agenda item.
Question,
huh?
you want me to still carry over the redistricting and water bottling? Okay, second question,
I think, I mean, because I think we need to just double check on it each time. I don't wanna like have it drop off and have us and then find out something happened.
Okay.
I'll keep it on. Second question is I got the answers back from the attorney on the employee handbook. He made some notes. I have to correlate his answers to the questions we had. You initially were talking about doing it as a special separate meeting. Do you want it on the January regular meeting agenda, or do you want to schedule a separate meeting?
I think we should put it on the agenda for you to explain whatever he said and for us to look at some small things like. Relook at the PTO and keep that on there. And then I think we're gonna have to finalize it. We're gonna have to do a separate meeting, but I think it should be on.
Okay,
this.
so include it on the
Are you guys okay with that?
Okay,
Waiting on you.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
okay.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Director Nyman, seconded by Director Kelly. Roll call directors, Director Garcia, Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. We are adjourned at 8:33.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Good night, everyone.
Have a great